I am feeling feelings that I don't like. Feelings that I shouldn't be feeling during this month of Elul. Feelings I should be working to overcome. But they're really strong now. And they're hard for me to suppress. So while I wanted to talk more about the shofar tonight, which is what we've been doing the past couple Friday nights, I am often genuine and authentic and share what I'm feeling, and that's what I want to do tonight. And this isn't easy for me to share tonight because my feelings are feelings of disgust and extreme disappointment and disillusionment and anger at us, at our country, at those among us who, despite the First Amendment, which protects the freedom of speech, encourage the use of threats and violence and exhort and even commit murder to silence voices that reflect views that are different from ours, even radically different from ours. Let me state clearly that I feel that no one should have any right to use words, to promote an ideology, or spread ideas that incite violence. But what I feel is irrelevant because there are laws in our country that dictate what is protected speech and what is not. Here in America, you can say and you can do a lot. But I believe it was in 1969 when the Supreme Court ruled that incitement is unprotected by the First Amendment. If the speech is directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action, that is, the speaker must intend to incite illegal activity in the immediate future, or if the speech is likely to incite or produce such action, the speech must be likely to cause lawless action to happen. In 2003, the Supreme Court defined true threats as those statements where the speaker means to communicate a serious expression of an intent to commit an act of unlawful violence to a particular individual or group of individuals. I live behind armed guards right here at Ramat Shalom Beth Israel. And Cheryl and I have had to add security to our home because many out there are promoting terrible, dishonest, threatening things about Jews, about Zionism, about Israel. And because of that, I and most of you, whether you know it or not, have become targets, no matter what you think, feel, or believe. A lot of what those against us say, sadly, falls within legal limits because it doesn't always necessarily, specifically call for violence against us, despite what we think, what we know they really mean. But that's the freedom of speech. And that's America. And as challenging as it can be, it's part of living in this democracy we call home. For the most part, we can say what we want to say. But over and over again, we're watching as lines are being crossed by people not only inciting violence against individuals and groups, but committing heinous crimes to silence people who represent views that are different from our own. The murder of Israeli embassy workers, Yaron, Lischinsky, and Sarah Milgrim in Washington, D.C. in May is a tragic example of this silencing. The murder of Karen Diamond at Boulder's March for Their Lives gathering this summer is another example of this silencing. And the murder of Charlie Kirk on a college campus this week is yet another example of this silencing. Now, lots of us had serious problems, and I mean serious problems, with what Charlie Kirk stood for and promoted. That's not my point tonight, though. I and many others appreciated Kirk's staunch support of Israel. And by the way, I got many calls from Israel over the past 48 hours. Shocked and horrified. Liberal Israelis, shocked and horrified by his murder, not just because of his support for Israel, but asking me, what the heck is going on in your country? From Israel. This being said, I can't stress it enough. Many of his beliefs and the platform he created have been rightfully criticized for being at times anti-Semitic, racist, anti-LGBTQ, and many other negative labels. But I'm not interested in going into his ideology tonight, condemning it or promoting it, which I couldn't do. I want to talk about his murder and the reaction to this murder. This is America. Freedom of speech, whether we like it or not, is protected. And diverse opinions have defined this nation since it was founded. Diverse opinions define our Judaism and have done so for centuries. Charlie Kirk's assassin slaughtered him in front of his wife and children, before a crowd of college students, some who supported him and some who opposed him, college students who came to debate and argue. His assassin slaughtered him because he opposed Kirk's positions. This morning online, I watched a young American chant in a video that has gone viral. "We got Charlie in the neck. Who's up next?" As his friends clapped and joined in. And this is just one example of the threatening and joyful responses to Kirk's murder that are out there right now for everybody to see. I was rattled by seeing this, and I spoke to someone about this video, expressing my disgust and how it reminded me of the sickness that surrounded the murder of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, and the heroization of his murderer, whose name I will not mention, late last year. The person who I was talking about, who I was expressing my disgust to, somebody I respect, said to me, "Yeah, it's a shame the assassin didn't have a few more bullets for some of Kirk's friends." And I've heard stuff like this before from people I'm close to around the attempted assassination of President Trump, about how disappointed they were that the shot missed. We can laugh about it. We can say it's funny, that it's just a joke. But it's not, because we saw this week what it leads to. We have every single right to oppose the views of anyone, our president, political influencers, anyone, and we should. In this country, there are so many freedoms that protect our rights to do so. And we can and should scream from the rooftops about the failure of gun control in this country. But what happened in Utah? What happened in Utah was not simply about guns. I'm sorry. What happened in Utah, and many of the responses that I've seen and heard, reflect something truly broken in this country. Politics, civil discourse, the beauty, and I mean that, the beauty of disagreeing with each other, epitomized for me by the genuine friendship that existed between late judges Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Antonin Scalia. All of this seems to have been replaced by hatred, pure, unadulterated hatred for anyone who has the audacity to believe, to promote, to talk about, or even explore a view that's different from our view. This unadulterated hatred, which comes, I want to make this clear, from both sides of the aisle, has become part of American culture, and I'm disgusted by it. Now, I was a goody two-shoes as a kid. I didn't get in much trouble at all at home. One time, however, I remember getting in a lot of trouble for something I said in front of my parents. I said that I hated someone. And I was told very firmly, and I remember it to this day, that hate is a strong word, one that I was not permitted to use, especially when it came to people. My parents said I could hate broccoli, I could hate the color green, I could hate math, but I was not allowed to hate a person. And to this day, I try really hard to embrace this lesson, and I often struggle with it. I miss the mark. However, I know and appreciate that people have the right to embrace views that are very different from my own. And I also love a good, respectful, complicated debate. And I understand what my rights are and what the rights of others are. Yaron, Lischinsky, and Sarah Milgrim in D.C., Karen Diamond in Colorado, Charlie Kirk in Utah. More and more, we're watching people getting butchered for espousing views that their killers don't like. Now, these killers, they can hide behind mental illness. We can blame it on the failure of gun control. But I see it stemming from an entitlement in this country that empowers us to cancel those who think differently than we do. And lots of us embrace this entitlement, and we encourage it. We don't want to respectfully debate or even respectfully just agree to disagree and go on with our relationship. We want to shut down opposing voices. We want to joke about a missed bullet flying past Trump's ears. It's not funny. We do nothing, as many celebrate Kirk's assassination. Maybe we speak up when someone on our team is shot, a Zionist, a Jewish person, but that's not enough. Maybe we're just afraid to speak up at all because we don't want to be targeted ourselves. And in turn, because of all of these things, we promote this culture of hate that now defines America. And whether we realize it or not, we're teaching our youth to cancel opposing views. We're teaching those who might be mentally unstable, those who can't control their rage, not to miss the next time they take a shot. Our hatred is inspiring some out there to permanently silence what they see as their enemy, to put a bullet through their neck and to kill them. And this flies in the face of Jewish values. In the Torah, in Leviticus, we are commanded, you shall not hate your brother and sister in your heart. In the book of Proverbs, in the Jewish Bible, it says, if your enemy falls, do not celebrate. If your enemy trips, let your heart not rejoice. In the Talmud, it said God loves three people. One who doesn't get drunk. That we can laugh at. One who doesn't bear resentment. And one who doesn't get angry. Maimonides in the Middle Ages taught that anger is an exceptionally bad quality. It is fitting and proper that one moves away from it and adopts the opposite extreme. He should teach himself not to be angry even when it is fitting to be angry. Who is the strongest of the strong, he asks? One who conquers their inclination. Some say, one who turns someone who hates him into one who loves him. We saw this week how destructive, unbridled anger and hate, the hatred that it leads to, can be. But we as Jews, we've already been taught this lesson. The Talmud reminds us that the reason Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans 2,000 years ago, and countless Jews were massacred, and most of the remaining Jews were exiled, was because of what the Talmud calls sinat chinam, baseless hatred among the Jewish people. Our hatred for each other led to the annihilation of our culture 2,000 years ago. So as we get ready to enter 5786, I'm devastated by what is happening in this country. They say history repeats itself, but we Jews know what hatred can do. So I wonder, will we ever learn? Will we be a part of the process of breaking the cycle, stopping the repeat of history? I hope so. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take hard work. It will require each and every single one of us to realize that together we have gotten ourselves to this very dark place. Each of us needs to be seriously committed to playing a significant role in changing the way we behave and treat others. Thinking about how we engage with those we don't agree with. Thinking about what we post online and how we react when others say or do things that undermine civility. Because it's up to us. For the sake of this country, I really hope that we can do this. I hope we can stop history from repeating itself, and we can figure out how to redeem our humanity.